Okay, kids, 我们来读一点英文吧。Today I have chosen to read something from the National Geographic. This is a special. I want to read this special report, "Feeding the World." This is an old issue, June 2009. But it's still very relevant today. The end of plenty. 丰衣足食的日子是不是要过了呢？ It is the simplest, most natural of acts, akin to breathing and walking upright. We sit down at the dinner table, pick up a fork, and take a juicy bite, oblivious to the double helping of global ramifications on our plate. 坐下来吃一顿饭是最简单的事儿了。Akin 呢，就好像呼吸还有直着走路一样。我们拿起一个叉子，然后 take a juicy bite, oblivious 完全是状况外，就是我们每次再拿一份的时候 double helping， 可是对于这个全球的 ramifications， 是很重要的，是有影响的。Our beef comes from Iowa, fed by Nebraska corn. Our grapes come from Chile. Our bananas from Honduras. Our olive oil from Sicily. Sicily 是意大利啊。Our apple juice, not from Washington State, but all the way from China. Modern society has relieved us, 释放了我们 of the burden of growing, harvesting, even preparing our daily bread, in exchange for the burden of simply paying for it. 现代社会已经让食物的供应简单到我们只要付钱就好了。Only when prices rise do we take notice, 注意到。And the consequences of our inattention are profound. 我们不去关注这个话题，这个影响是很可怕的。Last year, the skyrocketing cost of food was a wake-up call for the planet. Skyrocketing 暴涨啊，就好像一个火箭往天上冲一样。Between 2005 and the summer of 2008, the price of wheat and corn tripled. 3倍啊。And the price of rice climbed 5-fold. 涨了5倍。Spurring food riots in nearly 24 countries and pushing 75 million more people into poverty. 造成了有很多国家造成了暴动 ，nearly 24， 几乎是2大国家哈，几乎是24个国家，20几个国家有暴动，然后让7500万人，让他们又进入了贫困的阶段的程度。But unlike previous shocks, driven by short-term food shortages, this price spike came in a year when the world's farmers reaped a record grain crop. This time, the high prices were a symptom of a larger problem, tugging at the strands of our worldwide food web, one that's not going away anytime soon. Simply put, for most of the past decade, the world has been consuming more food than it was able to produce. After years of drawing down stockpiles, in 2007, the world saw global carryover stocks fall to 61 days of global consumption, the second lowest on record. 跟之前不一样，这一次的 high prices，跟以前不一样。这一次的食物价格上涨是在丰收年，而且呢，这一次很高的食物的价格是主要因为我们吃的比他们能够种的要快，要多。然后呢，我们的存货只够全球消费61天，这样是很少吗？好像。Agricultural productivity growth is only 1 to 2% a year, warned Joachim von Braun, Director General of the International Food Policy Research Institute in Washington, D.C., at the height of the crisis. This is too low to meet population growth and increased demand. High prices are the ultimate signal that demand is outstripping supply, that there is simply not enough food to go around. Such agflation, 这个 agflation 应该是他发明的字哈 ，inflation 就是通货膨胀 ，inflation， 所以 agriculture 嘛，所以 agflation hits the poorest billion people on the planet the hardest, since they typically spend 50 to 70% of their income on food. 食物价格上涨总是影响最穷困的人。这里的 case 他提的是最穷困的10亿人，因为他们会把5成到7成他们赚的钱花在食物上面。Even though prices have fallen with the imploding world economy, they are still near record highs. 这是2009年的杂志哈，2008年有金融危机，所以 imploding 就是很往内爆炸的，这个就是垮掉了的世界经济。价格虽然有下跌，因为世界的经济很糟糕，他们还是很接近历史的高档的价格。And the underlying problems of low stockpiles, rising population, and the flattening yield growth remain. Climate change, with its hotter growing seasons and increasing water scarcity, scarcity 这个字一定要会哈 ，scarce 很缺乏很少的 ，is projected to reduce future harvests in much of the world. Projected 预估预测。Raising the specter of what some scientists are now calling a perpetual food crisis. 科学家认为这个可能会是一个永久性的粮食危机 perpetual. So what is a hot, crowded, and hungry world to do? 所以一个又热又挤又饥饿的世界，我们该怎么办呢？That's the question von Braun and his colleagues at the Consultative Group on International Agricultural Research are wrestling with right now. This is the group of world-renowned agricultural research centers that helped more than double the world's average yields of corn, rice, and wheat between the mid-1950s and the mid-1990s. 这个就是其中一个专业的组织哈，协助全球在过去几十年，1950年代到1990年代，让我们的收成至少 double 2倍。An achievement so staggering it was dubbed the Green Revolution. 这个成果 so staggering 真是不可思议的一个成果 it was dubbed 被称为绿色革命。Yet, with world population spiraling toward 9 billion by mid-century, these experts now say we need a repeat performance, doubling current food production by 2030. In other words, we need another green revolution, and we need it in half the time. Ever since our ancestors gave up hunting and gathering for plowing and planting some 12,000 years ago, our numbers have marched in lockstep with our agricultural prowess. Each advance, the domestication of animals, irrigation, wet rice production, led to a corresponding jump in human population. 自从我们放弃了打猎啊，跟收集食物啊，然后就开始 plowing and planting， 开始耕种。12000年以前，我们的人口数量跟我们的农业实力是 in lockstep 的，意思就是农业生产的好，我们的数量就多；不好，我们就勉强。Each advance 每一个成果 ，the domestication of animals 我们开始饲养我们的牲畜 ，irrigation 灌溉，或者是开始种水稻，都让我们的人口大幅增加。Every time food supplies plateaued, population eventually leveled off. Plateaued 就是到顶了，每一次食物的供给到顶了，人口的增长也会 level off， 变得就是不会再增长了。Early Arab and Chinese writers noted the relationship between population and food resources. But it wasn't until the end of the 18th century that a British scholar tried to explain the exact mechanism linking the two, and became perhaps the most vilified social scientist in history. Thomas Robert Malthus, the namesake of such terms as Malthusian collapse and Malthusian curse， 这个名字我不知道怎么翻译哈 ，Malthus， 他就是一个18世纪的社会学家，他就是警告第一个确切的用科学的方式警告人口的增长不可能持续下去，因为我们的农业资源会跟不上。Was a mild-mannered mathematician, a clergyman, and, his critics would say, the ultimate glass half empty kind of guy. 如果一个杯子有一半的水，乐观的人会说它是 glass half full， 悲观的人就会说它是 glass half empty。这个比喻一定要记得。那么他的 critics 批评他的人就会说，这个人是最悲观的人，因为他是一个 ultimate 极端的 glass half empty kind of guy。 When a few philosophers from the 这个部分我刚刚看了一下 I have no clue what does the French Revolution have to do with any of this 因为我不懂但是当一些那个时候一定状况不错 Enlightenment philosophers 可能是一个学术活动吧began predicting the continued unfettered improvement of the human condition. Unfettered 就是它的脚镣被放掉了，可以一直的 improvement of the human condition 会一直改善。Mothers cut them off at the knees. Human population, he observed, increases at a geometric rate. 人口增长是几何式的 ，doubling about every 25 years if unchecked. 如果没有人去管的话，每25年就会 double. While agricultural production increases arithmetically. 但是我们的农业的增长就平缓太多了 much more slowly. Therein lay a biological trap that humanity could never escape. The power of population is indefinitely greater than the power of the earth to produce subsistence for man. 他说土地生产的力量永远比不上人类的生产的力量He wrote in his essay on the principle of population in 1798. This implies a strong and constantly operating check on population from the difficulty of subsistence. 光是要抚养 subsistence 就是最基本的就是能够养活人口的程度这个就是最有效的 check on population growth. Mothers thought such checks could be voluntary. 你可以自愿啊你可以 birth control. 那个时候是怎么样 birth control? Abstinence, 你可以禁欲 or delayed marriage, 可以晚婚 or involuntary.Through the scourges of war, famine, and disease. 你要不就是被动的，你就是生病、饥荒，或者是打仗。He advocated against food relief for all, but the poorest of people. 他不认为政府应该去救济，用食物来救济太多的人民，除了是那种最穷最穷的。Since he felt such aid encouraged more children to be born into misery. That tough love earned him a nasty cameo in English literature from none other than Charles Dickens. 这个很有名的 Charles Dickens在他写那个 A Christmas Carol 的时候呢The heartless banker, Ebenezer Scrooge 说，这个He tells the do-gooders that the destitute 就是贫困 should head for the workhouses or prisons. The destitute 就是最贫困的这个穷人。And if they would rather die than go there, they had better do it. 就干脆死掉吧。And decrease the surplus population. 把多余的人口给控制住。The Industrial Revolution and the plowing up of the English commons dramatically increased the amount of food in England, sweeping mothers into the dustbin of the Victorian era. 工业革命造成了食物的增长大幅上升，所以那个时候没有人理他了。Into the dustbin 就是跑到那个畚斗里面去了，扫地的是那个畚斗。But it was the Green Revolution that truly made the Reverend the laughing stock of modern economists. 但是我们的绿色革命呢，真的是让大家都讥笑它。From 1950 to today, the world has experienced the largest population growth in human history. After Malthus's time, 6 billion people were added to the planet's dinner tables. Yet, thanks to improved methods of grain production, most of those people were fed. We had finally shed the Malthusian limits for good. Or so we thought. 我们真的已经解脱了这个 Malthusian 的这个预言跟限制了吗？事实上没有。OK， 我们下一次再读2小段。今天先到这里。See you later. See you next time.